Buenos dias from Sangervasi. This is the Rorschach Spain update from the 13th of February, 2025. Quick summary of what's going down in Spain. Start this week with some EU budget news. On Tuesday the 11th, Spain urged the EU to create a permanent system to double the union's budget beyond 2 trillion euros, which would allow Spain's government to borrow more money. Led by President Pedro Sanchez, the government is seeking to extend the post-COVID borrowing scheme, which is set to expire in 2026. Extending the scheme would require a change in EU regulations and delay the EU's debt repayment, a path that faces resistance from Germany and Northern European countries worried about sharing debt. Spain's proposed alternative ways for the EU to pay off its current debt, including using around 400 billion euros from the Eurozone bailout fund. While Spain's government pushes for more cash, a recent study by the global civil society organization Transparency International has found that Spain has worsened in corruption. On Tuesday, the 11th, Transparency International revealed that Spain dropped 10 positions in the 2024 Corruption Perception Index, or CPI ranking, 46th out of 180 countries. CPI uses a scale from 0 to 100. 100 is very clean, 0 is highly corrupt. Spain's corruption score fell to 56 out of 100, down from 60 in 2023. The country also slipped from 14th to 16th place among the EU's 27 members, overtaken by Latvia. The score of 90, Denmark came in first. Other end of the scale, Sudan scored the worst with 8. Transparency International attributes this drop to delays in Spain's adopting EU directives, with 87 still pending. Only 4 regions in Spain have active anti-fraud agencies. A number of the organization says needs to be increased to increase positive perception. On Monday the 11th, President Pedro Sanchez vowed to defend Spain's economic interests alongside the European Union against a U.S. trade war, as called by media outlet Europa Press. During the speech to Congress, Sanchez criticized the efforts to dismantle global trade, warning that such conflicts could harm Europe's working and middle classes. Without naming Donald Trump directly, he denounced a system based on hostility and the law of the strongest. He affirmed Spain's commitment to cooperation and pledged to protect Spanish industries and workers. Sanchez also reiterated the country's support for a two-state solution in the Israel-Palestine conflict, advocating diplomacy over violence. The next day, energy giant BP and Iberdrola began the construction of the country's largest green hydrogen plant in Castellón, eastern Spain. €70 million project approved in September last year will feature a 25-megawatt electrolyzer, a high-powered 25-megawatt machine capable of efficiently splitting large quantities of water into hydrogen, generating a substantial hydrogen output. Iberdrola's wind and solar energy will power it. Plant set to be operational by late 2026 will hopefully cut CO2 emissions by 23,000 tons per year. The project, which will most likely generate over 500 jobs, has already received 15 million euros in EU funding. Meanwhile, on Thursday the 6th, Oscar Lopez, Spain's Minister for Digital Transformation, announced a new order to restrict commercial spam calls to numbers with 800, 900, or provincial prefixes. The order, expected to be approved this month, aims to curb telephone spam and scams by preventing companies from using mobile numbers. While not eliminating commercial calls entirely, the regulation will make them easier to identify and block. Consumers can report misuse to the Consumer Affairs Department. Companies that violate the rule will face sanctions. However, those sanctions have not yet been stipulated. Social media updates. On Monday the 10th, Yolanda Díaz, Spain's deputy prime minister, announced plans to regulate child influencers and prevent parental exploitation. Under the proposed reform, children under 14 will need government approval to work on social media. They must attend school, have legal guardians present when posting content. Parents will be banned from profiting from their children's earnings, which must be placed in bank accounts for the minors. 2024 study raised ethical and legal concerns about sharenting, that is, when parents share large amounts of potentially sensitive information about their children online, which many parents benefit from, sometimes financially. In entertainment, let's talk about the results of what many consider to be the Spanish Oscars. On Saturday the 8th, the 38th Annual Goya Awards, Spain's main national annual film awards, took place at the Palacio del Congresos in Granada in the south. In a historic first, 2 films shared the Best Picture award, El 47 by Marcel Barren and La Infiltrada by Arantxa Echevarria. L47 emerged as the night's biggest winner with victories for Salva Reina as Best Actor, Clara Segura as Best Actress, and Carlos Apolinario for Best Editing. Turning to sports, on Saturday the 8th, Spain secured its place at the 2027 Rugby World Cup in Australia with a dominant 43-13 victory over Switzerland. The victory marked Spain's first qualification for the World Cup since 1999. While Spain dominated Switzerland, the tournament's expansion to 24 teams certainly helped their qualification. While football, i.e. soccer, basketball, and tennis might be the first sports you think of when Spain is brought up, the nation's interest in rugby is trending upward, especially since major cities such as Madrid, Barcelona, and Valladolid are making the sport more accessible by hosting the sport in major stadiums and increasing its presence. Speaking of football, on Tuesday the 11th, Luis Rubiales, the former president of the Spanish Football Federation, testified in court as part of the ongoing court case between himself and Jenny Hermoso. Case revolves around Rubiales' compelled kiss after the Spanish women's team won the World Cup final in August last year. During the ongoing trial, David Morillo, a lip-reading expert brought forward as a witness by Rubiales' defense team, said that during the infamous moment, Rubiales requested a little kiss from Hermoso, to which she consented. However, Morilla did outline that he only analyzed the video that was published on TikTok. However, the prosecutors quickly challenged Morillo's credentials and experience, also raising concerns about whether the location of his association in Granada, in Rubiales' hometown, indicated a potential link to the former president. As the trial continues, Rubiales faces charges of sexual assault and coercion, with prosecutors seeking a 2.5-year prison sentence. In the Women's Football League on Sunday the 9th, during La Liga F football match between Barcelona and Espanyol, a controversial incident occurred in the 15th minute. Barcelona defender Mapi León and Espanyol's Daniela Caracas collided, and footage appears to show León touching Caracas in the groin area, sparking some outrage. Espanyol released a statement condemning the act as unacceptable and accused León of violating the privacy of their player. Caracas reportedly did not react immediately, but later recognized the seriousness of the incident. León denied wrongdoing, insisting the contact was unintentional and part of the game. In the music world, Bad Bunny remains dominant on Spain's singles chart, holding the top 3 spots. Bad Bunny's popularity in Spain stems from his fusion of reggaeton and Latin trap styles that continue to capture audiences across the country, specifically in Madrid, where there's a significant South American community. Not only does the Puerto Rican pop star hold the top 3 spots, 4 of the top 5 songs in the singles charts are his. His latest album, released last month, Debí tirar más fotos, or Should I Have Taken More Pictures, continues to impact the charts, with 17 tracks in Spain's top 100. Closing this show, there's an interesting, tasty tradition. In a recent interview in El País, Elena Arzac, the daughter of Spanish chef Juan María Arzac, spoke about her family's Michelin star restaurant and her father's famous dish, calling it a universal favorite. In 1971, Spanish chef Juan María Arzac created a pastel de cabarroca, a dish that became a cornerstone of Basque haute cuisine, inspired by a local fish cake. Arzac refined the recipe by adding cream and using cabarroca, or scorpion fish, for its shellfish-like flavor. So, next time you're in the Basque Country, Euskadi, in the north, find yourself a bite of delicious history. And that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us. Huge thank you to all of our listeners who tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms, especially those who help spread the word by sharing the show with friends and family. If you want to send an episode as an MP3 file, you can download it directly from our website at Rorschach.com/Spain. Links also available in the show notes. Thanks a lot. Hasta la próxima.